Speak it up, holding on, trigger, you've done it, you champion. Speak it up, wins, goes to the lead. John's going to take out the Dudley Justice, and that's Mr. Ali. It could be, he's fighting back. Oh, look at him. Speak it up, does it.
And we're back, episode 3 of Mobile Rolling. They said it wouldn't work. Here we are 3 weeks in. Today I've got a new co-host joining me for some work experience and try and give him a little bit of a leg up into our industry and give him a hand. He's our resident caller, been here for over 20 years, calls the tour down under, and today I thought we'd try and give him a bit of a hand, and Jimmy Jacques joins me on the table. Welcome, Jimmy.
Yeah, Rocky, good to be here on Mobile Rolling. Love to get involved with anything talking harness racing, and yeah, look, it's been a pretty solid week. Of course, we had the Kapunda Cup through the week, well, the tail end of the month anyway, and Danielle Hill, South Australia's premier driver, she won her first ever Kapunda Cup.
First?
Yeah, and went to the front and won with Arden's Legacy, and the women are starting to really take a role in harness racing. I mean, Danny, our premier driver, and Lisa Ryan. We're going to have a chat with Lisa's husband a little bit later on, or at least Toby Ryan will go through the vet section, and she was the first ever female to win the Kapunda Cup a couple of years ago. So the girls are really starting to put the pepper onto the boys.
They are. Is there a harder driver to get past when she's in front than Danny?
No. They just keep rolling. The horses just keep running and running and running, and she's a lightweight frame, and look, she's getting close to 100 winners this season again, so things are going really well.
She's great for our industry, and there's a couple of junior concession girls coming through the system as well that I'm sure Danny's their go-to person, and you couldn't get a better one.
Yeah, she's the role model for sure.
For sure. And we've got a great show coming up, many guests to go through. We've got a very, very special guest coming up straight after the break. Also, Gary Crocker will join us, Adrian Hancock will join us. Look forward to seeing you straight after the first break.
Etches. With over 30 years combined experience, we endeavour to make your presentation the best it can be. We specialise in all things corporate, from your company's major awards through to your club's trophy needs, as well as sports uniforms and equipment. Our giftware range is second to none, which you can view on eBay. All you do is just type in Etches. Etches is proud to be your one-stop shop, making everything a whole lot easier for you. Etches, proudly supporting harness racing in South Australia. Please come and see us at 142 Port Road, Hindmarsh.
And welcome back to Mobile Rolling. We've got in one of the state's leading drivers has popped in to see us today, fresh from a sensational third in the South Australia Victoria Challenge in Mildura. And set a world record, mate, for doing 2.5 laps with your eyes shut.
I had the whole time. My eyes were shut.
By the way, has joined us.
Oh, it was great fun, Rocky. It was absolutely brilliant. I was nervous the whole time when I was invited, and because I know they're fast, they're powerful. I'm sitting, I'm going to be sitting right behind it, but wow, what an experience, and I really enjoyed it. Well, I got third. I think
close up third too, wasn't it? Really.
Yeah, for me and Cornsey, third and fourth, but first and second, the Victorians are about they were a lap in front of us, and young Danny Hill, who was the driver, and I was hanging on for dear life, said, I don't think this horse is all that interested as we're going along. I said, that's okay, I'm not really worried about the speed, honestly, just get around and beat Cornsey.
I heard, mate, that she said you started off at a crawl and got slower as the race went on.
Oh, well, they set us up, mate. There's no question there, and I know that we've got the reciprocal championship, next year, and we've got to get a couple of ponies for the Victorians, I think, because I think that's pretty close to what we got. But no, it was a fantastic night, but it was a great experience. I'm just lucky to be part of it. It was good fun.
So, what sort of crowd did you get, mate? With it, and do you think that match race played a part in getting a decent crowd there, or?
Well, look, it wasn't a great crowd, I don't think. It was 46 degrees during the day at Mildura, and it didn't cool down too much either. But it was a really fun night. I think they were happy with the crowd, but I presume that everyone wants a bit more. Yeah. It was just good fun, and it was a good vibe. It was unfortunate during the day because we were going to take a footy clinic, which would have been great. They just had to cancel it. I mean, it was 40-something degrees, and that's in the shade. So. Unfortunately, that probably just put a little bit of a so-called damper on it, but other than that, it was good fun.
What about in the sulky? Because I remember the first time I ever drove what we call fast work, when you go fast speed. my uncle told me I was white as a ghost when I come off. How was the feeling with you internally? Like, was it a scary feeling or what?
I was white 3 days before I raced. I reckon I rang you, Rocky, about 3 times saying, Rocky, I'm really worried about this race. I don't like speed. And in fact, when I was partnered with Danny and the sort of little carriage that we had behind the horse, I forgot what it's called,
sulky.
but the sulky. Yeah. I didn't have any rein, so I was just hanging on for dear life with the frame. And let me tell you, they were white. My knuckles were white. Don't worry about that. But it was good fun.
But mate, is it a concept you think could work really well to get people back to the trots if it's promoted well the next time that we have the reciprocal one here? Is it
fantastic? It was absolutely a brilliant idea, and to get someone like Andrew Jarman to do it, and a couple of Mildura and that over the years would just be fantastic because one, it is a great night, harness racing always is, and secondly, to have that start of origin, sort of challenge.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what it is, but it certainly was something special that the harness racing put it on. They'd done it brilliantly because remember from race 4 to race 7, the actual races actually had they had their 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 number of drivers and horses were all in their silks.
Yeah.
So it was like one race was 4 versus 4. South Australian all wearing their colours, and there was 4 Victorians, and it was state of origin, and you really felt it. It would have been crazy watching the Sky Channel up in Brisbane going, hang on, there's 2 lots of the same colours here. What's going on? But all the crowd and I'm sure the South Australian Victoria knew exactly what it was all about, and great concept, and it will be very successful here in South Australia if they run it here at Globe Derby, or maybe even send it down at the showgrounds there. It'll be a big crowd.
It was like a good match too, Rocky, because it was the Big V versus the Crow Eaters, right? Yeah. Victoria started off well. There was 4 races, so we can say there was 4 quarters, same as footy, and they're working combining footy and trots. The Big V started off well. They won the first quarter. Yeah. They won the second quarter. They got a good lead. But then the third quarter, Danny Hill and Wayne Hill come in and they clawed back and they got within, I think, 2 points.
We clawed right back. And people were talking about that. Like the last race, how close it was interesting. I'm sure people had money on different horses, but there was a lot in the crowd that were wanting, I reckon, Victoria to win. Yeah. But there was a little group of us that were just barracking for South Australia. And I didn't know who the jockeys were, but I was barracking for South Australia. It was fantastic.
Well, I think my co-host got torched a bit by the media because you actually picked us to win one of the races in the photo and
got it wrong.
Way.
Yeah, you got it wrong.
I thought you were
funny. I was here commentating with Craig Rail. That was the idea. We were doing race by race, and the last race we did as a duet. And I said to Craig, I said, anything I need to look at here? And he went through, he said, oh, yeah, maybe this. And then I've gone for the photo finish, and I thought Greg Sugars had won, and I got it wrong. I said to Craig, I stuffed that up. He said, I should have told you that. You got to favour the outside.
There was one race, because that was, there was a lot of talk, because I was with a lot of the owners and the drivers, that they felt pretty much like yourself, that they thought South Australian had won that. And I was around near the owners, the Victorians, when they found out they'd won the race, and they were ecstatic. It was just great to be part of. It was great to be part of.
Yeah, mate, as one of the first millionaires of South Australia through footy,
all
the money that you earned. You did form a syndicate years ago to get a horse called Jambo Jet with Mark Webster, I reckon.
It was too, Mark Webster, yeah.
How'd all that pan out, mate? Any stories there?
Look, it was fantastic. We won 7 in a row. It was we just couldn't believe it. We got the group of us. I think it was about 6 of us. It was Nigel Smart, David Pittman, Rod Jamison, myself. Did I say Darren Jarman?
No.
Yeah, Darren Jarman as well. So it was a sort of consortium, was it? And we had lots of fun. For the whole time at training, that's all we spoke about was Jambo Jet, and we won the Wheat Shift Cup, and 3 were right. It was really close, and I was actually running in the grandstand trying to keep up to see how we were going. It was all just that close. And I had Darren Jarman on the phone. I said, mate, I think we've won, but look, it's it's a photo finish, and I'm running him back. Said, mate, I'm sorry, it's still a photo finish, and I'm hanging on the line, mate. Maybe I'm wrong, but we end up getting the chocolates, and the actual delay was because it was between 2nd and 3rd. Okay. But that was no good for us, at all. But we won 7 in a row, and Rod Jamison thought he was that proud. We all were. He got all this sort of memorabilia of 7 in a row, so he's got caps, we've got T-shirts, Jambo Jet, 7 in a row, and on the back of the hat, more to come. So anyway, I remember getting our caps. It cost us like $50 a little packet. The owners decided to sell the horse. So it didn't race for us again. It went over to Perth, and I don't even know how it went, but it was just, I reckon he put a bit of spell on old Jamo, but it was good fun. Yeah, Jambo Jet was a good laugh.
So is it a good way though that, because footballers and punting seem to go hand in hand a fair bit, is it worthwhile pursuing those sorts of things for the club to try and get syndicates of footballers together to get back into the sport in a cheaper way than thoroughbreds?
It's a fantastic point, because you know that there is some players that take it to the next level, and you do hear about them, and they're at the races until 4 o'clock before they have to turn around and get out of the tab and go down to training at least. But to have a consortium of 5, 6, 7 players, not spending a lot with harness, you know, and having a bit of fun with it, it really brought us together. And there was, I promise you, as I sit here, there was 5 or 6 players at training that I reckon in the training they thought they were part of the consortium as well, because they were so passionate. How's Mark Webster? Is he training? Is he training tomorrow? What are you getting fed? Is it on massage? Is it on this? And all that sort of stuff. And it was a whole club was involved. So yes, I think
the horse was on that massage, mate, because you were the state manager of that.
Oh, we boosted it. Don't worry about it. It was good fun. Yeah.
Well, mate, fantastic to have you. We'll get you in monthly, I reckon. There's a lot of harness stories, and I think blokes like you can help us build the profile of harness racing back up and try and get that vibrant excitement back into a sport we're pretty passionate about. So,
look, like I said, I had a great time in Mildura. I've been to harness racing many a times, but please, you've got to get that State of Origin here in Adelaide, and it'll be so successful. And it was great fun, and I know everyone that went to the night absolutely loved it, and they stayed way after the final race, just be part of the whole State of Origin, and there were obviously a few guests there, etc. And I can't wait, and I'm ready to go next year. I know, I'm sure they'll get other people involved. But I'll be there at the finishing line just cheering on South Australia.
Well, you probably give instructions, I suppose, after that.
Hang on for dear life, Rocky. Hang on for dear life.
Ando, thanks, mate. Thanks for coming in. More after the break.
Pronto United Finance provides a professional, friendly and personalised service, offering competitive consumer lending solutions for whatever your current lifestyle finance requirements may be. We offer secured and unsecured loans for all types of items and occasions, large or small. It might be for a car or motorbike, a boat, a jet ski or caravan, and even horse floats. It might even be for a holiday or wedding. Contact us today, get your pre-approval in place and your mind at ease. Pronto United Finance, putting your personal needs first.
Welcome back to Mobile Rolling. Right here in my hot little hand is the catalogue for the yearling sales, and the two fine gentlemen we've got here to tell us all about it down the end is the chairman of Harness Racing SA, Gary Crocker. Gary, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jimmy.
And Adrian Hancock, who is going to be the auctioneer at the sale as well. Adrian, welcome here to the show as well.
Thanks, Jim.
Let's talk about this book. Gary, Allwood Stud, South Australia Yearling Sale. What can you tell us about Allwood Stud?
Allwood Stud is based in Western Australia. It's owned and run. It's owned by Bob and Marilyn Fowler. Bob stands Follow the Stars and Fly Like an Eagle. He's a great supporter of South Australian harness racing. You'll probably see the mobile that runs around, which has got his logos on it. He's very passionate about the industry and came forward last year to support the sale.
Australia's greatest two-year-old race is what you're promoting.
Well, basically, we have a $100,000 race for horses that are sold at this sale or those that are non-sale entries, which is there's 39 of them, I think. And you have basically 1 in 70 odd chance of winning a $100,000 race, whereas most of the other races you're competing up against 600, 700, 800 horses. So as far as the percentages are concerned, it certainly is. And
it's got the best value.
You're probably going to be lucky if 1 in 7 makes it to the track as a 2-year-old. So if you've got the one that is there, it's pretty good money.
So Gary, the yearling sales, we promote $100,000 prize money for that particular race. How does that come about? Where's the 100K come from?
Okay, so the $100,000 is basically made up of a fee that's put on for the vendor to have the horse in the sale, and a small fee for the purchaser. So there's basically $35,000 or whatever. The non-sale entries, which I think this year is about 39, they pay $1,500 plus GST. Okay. So you've got another $60,000.
Yeah. So it's
then,
almost a no risk.
well, then you've got your commission on the sales.
Yep.
And of course, out of that, we've got to take, you know, all your costs of
Yeah,
printing and hire of the venue and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, I think last year we ended up with it. We made a profit, but there's no problem with the 100,000. And that race will be conducted in June this year. That'll be the first one. But the race for this year, the horses sold this year will be running in the last week of February. So we're going to bring the race and the sale. The race will be the day before, and the sale will be the day after.
That'll be for 2020.
2020, yeah. So we're looking at putting the cup on the night before, which I think is going to be the 29th of February. I think it's a leap year next year. Yeah. And the sale will probably be on the 1st of March.
And this year you've got the SA Cup on Saturday.
Yeah, and the yearling sales
on the 8th,
and then the race is in June.
Yeah.
But we'd already advertised that.
But the sales on the 9th for where people can get to buy these horses.
The sales on the 10th on the
10th,
Sunday.
sorry, yeah.
So I think what we've looked at is that we were never going to be like the leaders or AP Gold that basically control all the sales, but we've had great support from people like the Judd family who've got Ben Stud, who are probably...
They were great last year as well.
Very good breeders, and also Bob has sort of realised that we really do need the race to be hooked up with the sale the day after. So you've got the same vibe. To wait another 3 or 4 months, we are bringing all of our races forward. Yep. Historically, they used to all race 2-year-olds in September, October, November. For some reason, all the administrators started putting them on in July and August. Worst time of the year, worst weather, whatever. We're now bringing all of ours forward to our Southern Cross this year. I think it's going to be in May. Yep. And we believe that that's probably going to help us. So those that want to get the horse that's up and running and get him ready for this 100,000, if he's after that he's no good, well, you put him in the paddock. If he's any good, you give him a break and bring him back for the other races later. But I think if we don't, the sale probably is going to struggle to survive without the change that we had to sort of manipulate.
Well, this man here is going to be responsible for getting the highest prize yearling sold at the sales come the 10th, because Adrian Hancock, you're going to be the auctioneer. But the Hancock family is famous all throughout South Australia for what you've done. Tell us about the history of the Hancock family and other people who have been involved, and tell us a bit about yourself.
Thanks, Jimmy. Yeah, well, family has had a long history in South Australia. My grandfather, Varley Hancock, and his brother Laurie, both bred a lot of good standard breds way back before I was born. So it's a long time ago now. Uncle Laurie, who I sort of remember, but he was an older man then. He had a horse like Van Mode and Brands Finale and a lot of great names in the old Wavell days. Yep. And my grandpa bred them. Probably his best horse he bred was a horse called Fieryland, sold to the Browns. And he was unbeaten as a 2- and 3-year-old, never got beaten in a race in South Australia as a 2- and 3-year-old, won every classic. Him and young Pedro had great battles, and I remember as a young boy listening to the radio and Fieryland, etc. And then when he came back racing after an ownership dispute, became a great free-for-aller. But so we go back a long way. Then my father and his brother Alan, and my father Colin and his brother Alan, or Uncle Joey. Yep. They bred a lot of horses, Derby winners, Oaks winners, had a lot of success, and bred some nice horses. And then it was in my brothers and my veins. We just loved it. And I always I grew up on a farm with them, and but horses were always my passion, more than the sheep and the cattle and everything else, the cropping. And that led me into the career I'm in now. But my brother Robert, he's on the farm and still breeds 1 or 2, but yeah, we've been at it a long while. Yeah,
you're like a bloodstock agent, if you like, and you give people advice. I mean, I believe that you've been consultant for the Magic Millions as well in the thoroughbred with their particular sales and so forth. But I read somewhere that you virtually, as soon as you left school, you went straight into this industry, but basically it was already inbred into you, but you just flowed on because you loved it that much. Yeah,
I went to a school at Urbray, and Jeff Webster was at the same school, and Chris Lewis went to Urbray. We all went through together, basically. Yeah, I put my name down to work for Coles Bloodstock Agency, and between year 12 and end of the next year, I was out doing a bit of wool classing, getting my ticket, and I got a call for an interview. Came down and did the interview. I was up north of Cooper Pedy at that stage, and anyway, they said, when can you start? And I said, next Monday.
Yeah.
I gave the wool shed a miss and never went back. Very fortunate. And stepped into an office with some great names in the Australian industry. David Coles was one of the great bloodstock people in Australia, Coles Bloodstock Agency, and great mentor to me he was. And yeah, that's where I started.
All right, so you use a little bit of that knowledge that you have from the bloodstock, the breeding and that, to the auctioneering. So now you've got to gel that together come sale time on the 10th at Magic Millions Complex.
Yeah, well, when I joined Coles Bloodstock, I went into the thoroughbred section, which was brand new, doing the pedigrees there. Names were a bit foreign to me, so I knew the trotting standardbred pedigrees. But then after a couple of years, Peter Lacey was there, then Peter left, and they put me in charge of the trotting section, or harness racing section. So at about the age of, I would have been 21, I ran the trotting sales on behalf of Coles Bloodstock.
Yep.
So I did the pedigrees, did everything, a whole lot, from printing the book, writing the catalogue, to, that's where they put me up in the Chris Coles grabbed me and said, you're going to sell the next few lots, have a crack. So that's how it started, and very fortunate, given the opportunity, and I loved it, Jimmy. I just loved it. I just breathed it, you know, going to Wavell in those days, and just loved it. Yeah.
Well, boys, can I put you on the spot with a couple of them, with the sales coming up next week? I said previous to coming on that lot 1 caught my attention straight away. I like breed that have got super speed on the sire, and Rich and Sport was a strong mare as well. What do you think of her prospects and price?
Look, right, at the end of a yearling sale, no matter what price they make, they're all on equal terms the minute they walk away from the sale ring. You know, there's no rule to say the most expensive horse will win the most races. That's the given, and that's what gives everybody a chance. It's not a lottery. You can minimise your chances a little bit, I think. You know, or help your chances. Maximise your chances, I should say. But certainly they don't know how they're bred. They've got an attitude. They've got a heart and lung that you can't always see. Lot 1 at the end of the sale, no matter what price he makes, he's got as good a chance of being $100,000 winner as any lot in the sale.
Yeah. Speaking of sales, Gary, what are your estimations of what the lots may bring? What sort of price range do you think you could go to?
Well, we do have minimum bid is 5,000. I mean, if you that's probably being, you know, it's not even being harsh. I mean, these horses would all cost more than 5,000 to get to this level. Lot 20, for argument's sake, is Better's Delight out of a mare called Contrapan.
Well, Better's Delight, what's he, around 27,000 for his service fee?
So he's actually a fully American bred. Every line is American. And he's a full brother to a horse called Border Control, who's won about 700,000. Now, there's been photos of him out in the media, and a lot of people have wanted to know what's he doing in Adelaide. Well, the lady that prepares him, Annie Dalton, is probably one of the best preparers of standardbreds in Australia, and she picked that she wanted to. She came and supported us last year. So you got some that could bring 5. I would say, depending on who likes him and doesn't like him, but I would have thought that he would be a minimum of 50,000, but could bring more. He could bring 75. It depends. If there's a couple of blokes that have rung me that have got plenty of money that are coming over from Victoria. If they both decide they want to buy him, well, it'll be, you know. But yeah, I think we've got stuff. We've got 3 categories in here. I reckon we've got stuff that's going to bring between 6 and 10. We've got stuff that's going to bring between 10 and 20, and then we've got stuff that's going to bring between 20 and upwards. And so it might be 10 of the first lot, 15 of the second lot, and 8 or 10 of the third lot. So there's going to be stuff for everybody. I think there's the best size in Australia. There's good value size. There's good young size. There's good bloodlines on just about nearly every horse. So I reckon someone could go there, and if you, depending on your budget, you'll find a horse that you like.
Paul Cav's got an interesting one in, I reckon.
Yeah, Paul's got one in. It's an Art Major filly out of one of the Bromac mares.
Cruiser.
Yeah, it's probably as nice as filly as in the sale. I think it's out of Cruiser Franco. I think. Lot 22. Yeah, and it will be well prepared and well grown, so you don't know what it could bring, but it's going to be in that certainly the high second bracket or into the third high, high bracket.
You mentioned a horse earlier that won nearly 700,000. Your bloke, Major Crocker, won just about that much, I suppose. You've sold him on to America, he won't be fronting at the SA Cup come the 9th of March because you've sent him to America. But
he's gone to America.
Any plans for the 300,000 you got for him, mate? Or?
As long as the tax department aren't watching this show, I could probably divulge what we got for him. But no, he had an issue which those people that would see him race and seen some of his better runs and have seen some of late, he had a condition that we couldn't treat in Australia, but he can be treated over there.
Yep.
I own all the rest of the family, so I think he can go over there, and I think he'll run super time and enhance the mare. But he won, including bonuses, just short of 750,000. So I'm proud to say that he's a South Australian horse because he was broken in by David Smith out here at Penfield. So he's a lovely horse. Probably only one I'll ever get that's as good as that. But
you never know, mate.
We're trying. All the rest have won, so we just keep trying.
Yep. So we want to get people to Globe Derby on Saturday the 9th of March for the SA Cup, and then the Morphettville Racecourse on Sunday the 10th for the Allwood Stud Yearling sale. That's what we want people to do.
Yep. I think the Cups might be a bit of a surprise. I was talking to a gentleman that is going to, he is hoping to bring his horse over, and he was going to bring it from Sydney to Melbourne and then to here for the Cup, and that's Ego Dan, that's presently with Pizzuto.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sure that he would be, he's probably just short of Group 1 level, but he's a very, very good horse. And Danny that owns him got about 45 horses. He's picked out 3 or 4 that he likes. So hopefully, I think he's also got a share in Cruise Bromac, but I don't think we'll see Cruise Bromac here.
And just quickly, if I can, last year's sale, the talk before the sale was, the Victorians are going to buy everything and South Australia will end up with nothing. Well, quite the opposite. I think South Australia bought 85.
Over 90%, I think.
Yeah, of the catalogue.
Yeah.
And it was it averaged 16,500. Top was 40,000. I think it just shows if quality is put up, and full marks to Gary and his team. If the quality is presented, people will react, and that's all they want. They want a fair go, and they'll put their money into good product, and I think this sale offers that. So, be out there, get in there, form a syndicate, have a crack, and you'll end up with a nice horse.
Just on that, Jimmy, what we tried to do with this sale was previously when I was involved with Botcha, for the sale to survive, we needed to go to the next level, and with people like Rocky would know, like with Aaron Bain and that, with the syndications and the very professional outfit they want and they run, they want to be able to buy good horses. So what we've done is we've put a quality product available in front of the South Australian buyers, and that is why there is incentives for fillies, as far as you can use your SAMOS certificates and a whole pile of things. But so there's not many fillies in this race, in this sale, but what there is quality. We're giving people an opportunity that they don't have to go to Melbourne, they don't have to go to Sydney or Perth or whatever to buy a quality stock. When you're getting support from your leading studs in Victoria to come here, it just goes to show that they must believe in the product.
All right, well, thanks for coming in, boys. Really insightful stuff for both the sales and SA Cup night. Really needed to be successful and good prices as well the next day at the sales. So thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Can I just say one thing before we go? The sales committee are really proud to announce that Tanya Chapman, who is a national judge of show horses with the Horse Council of Australasia and the Equestrian Australia, is selecting the Mitavite champion Colton filly, and she's a Australian renowned judge, and she has done retraining of both thoroughbreds and harness racing. But it's good that we have someone there that doesn't have any connection with the industry, that is world renowned to doing our selections on the parade on Sunday morning, which will start at 10 a.m. So we're really glad to have her on board.
Fantastic. Back after the break.
Just Wrecking Toyota, South Terrace Wingfield, for all your recycled and reconditioned parts. Our huge range covers almost every model in the vast Toyota stable. Proudly South Australian with over 25 years in the automotive recycling industry. So, if you want to save some serious money on anything Toyota, call us on 8359 4499 for fast and friendly service.
Welcome back to Mobile Rolling. Here we are again with Toby Ryan with Vet Talk. How are you today?
Hi, Elise. Going well, thanks.
Now, a topic I'd really love to touch base on is bleeding within the horses, within the sport. So there's a lot of, we have a lot of people who go, the horse bled during a race. What does that mean?
Okay, yeah, no worries, Liz. There is horses that bleed in races, and that's a part of high exercise exertion in the athletic horse. But we can help it, we can manage it, and help the horse reduce it. It's difficult to eliminate it as a problem. Studies have shown that upwards of 80% of horses are having some low-grade capillary rupture in their airways, and a little bit of bleeding in their airways with exertion.
So it's not something where there's been too much exertion put on the animal or anything like that. It's just the individual animal needs some more support with its health in some aspects.
And we can help them. It's part and parcel of racing, but we need to be more aware of it so that we can help it for the welfare of the animal and the ongoing racing career of that animal. We find that we can within the rules of racing, there's medications that we can train horses on so that the bleeding's occurring less during training, and therefore it will occur less in racing if it's not occurring so frequently in training.
Training time. But then what happens then, because then you've got drugs in sport? What happens with these drugs? Are they okay for the animals to be being put on to support them, or are they banned substances generally?
There's a little bit of both, and there are some medications that are therapeutic in the sense they help the animal. There's no negative side effects, but they will still have a withdrawal time for racing, so a prohibited time in which we can't use them. But nonetheless, in discussion with your vet, you can use them at time frames that are allowable within the rules of racing to enable reduction in bleeding in training, because it's a vicious cycle. The more they bleed in training, the more chance we get of low-grade airway infections, and then possible worse lung infections, even to the extent of pneumonia. If we can use antibiotics and agents that help reduce the actual hemorrhage in training, we can get healthier lung fields that then bleed less when it comes time for race pressure.
And is it something that this is actually common within the sport, or is it more just, a one in so many?
It's happening a lot at a low grade level. We don't often see horses bleed in racing to the extent of blood becoming exteriorised out of the nostrils. That doesn't happen that often, but it's often a cause of the reduction in performance of horses. We find that they won't race as well as trainers expected them to based on really good track work. The trainer can be positive about a race and then be disappointed, find out that, somewhere in the concluding stages of the race, the horse didn't run on and perform as they expected. So it's more of a performance limiting problem than a real health issue.
Okay, well that's really quite interesting. Also, though, say if somebody's observing their horse in training, they were getting good time, good speeds, there were no issues, but then they did go out on the track and it was a very slow time, or they picked up something in their horse that wasn't quite right. How do they then progress on to going, well, let's see if bleeding is an issue?
Yeah, no, look, there's an important tool called endoscopy, scoping, where we put an endoscope with a camera down into the horse's airways after exertion. Not only does this give us information about the possible hemorrhage or bleeding, but we get a lot of information about the mucus and possible infection scenarios with lymph glands and mucus accumulations that indicate infection, because the two often go hand in hand. The bleeding creates the nutrition for the bacteria to create an infection, and then the infection creates the vulnerable airways that are more likely to bleed. So the two just roll off,
it can be a
run to run.
Vicious cycle.
Yep.
If they don't step in and go down the path of working out what's wrong.
Absolutely.
And then treating it.
And we have scopes, we have things called lung washers where you can put fluid into the lungs, suck it back up, send it off to the lab, get microscope work done to see the exact nature of any organisms that are in the airways. And indeed cultures can be done from those as well, where they'll grow those bugs to find out then which antibiotics they're most sensitive to try and really specifically treat these infections. So there is a lot that can be done if you get a chance to chat to your vet about it.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
I always love chatting with you about these things.
No worries at all.
We'll catch up again soon, I hope.
Definitely.
And back over to you guys in the studio.
Well, special thanks to Toby Ryan and Liz Barbaro for Vet Talk. That was fascinating and interesting moves there as well. We spoke at the start of the show, Rocky, about the women, how they're really doing fantastically in the sport. Well, the month of February and going into March is the Teal Team campaign.
Yeah.
So this is Australia-wide, where any rangewoman, any female that's wearing the teal pants drives a winner. That state will put $200 towards the teal team contribution. So that's something really good.
A fantastic initiative that it's been going for a year or two now.
Yeah,
I
it
reckon,
has.
in a big way. And I think it's fantastic. It costs a lot of money because the girls are driving a few winners around Australia at the minute. So a good cause. Mate, we've got an unbelievable month coming up, and it's a really important month with our SA Cup, the associated races around. It's not just the Cup Knot, is it? There's some really strong races around that you'll call for us, obviously. And then the sales. To me, the growth of harness racing and the rebirth, if you like, February is just such an important part of it.
It really is, yeah. And look, people are going to have to adjust because over the years we've been used to the Cup being in January. It's been shifted to February, and people will adjust to that. But yeah, looking forward to the racing. And of course, we've also got the Country Cups to finish off as well. So, you know, we spoke earlier about the Kapunda Cup that they had there. We've had the Victor Harbour Cup. Well, more Country Cups are coming up later on in the next month or two, which will be really good racing as well.
Fantastic.
All right, well, that's it for Mobile Rolling this week. Hope you've enjoyed the show. We'll be back next week with something special for week 4, I think it is. Week 4.